Hello, tarot friends. It's Kat with Taming the Tangle. Today, I want to jump in and talk about the Hanged Man, card 12 in the Major Arcana, still in the shadow cycle, hitting all the hard cards first. Although, personally, I happen to really like the Hanged Man a lot. Very, very interesting card. Let me just show you one more take on it from the Star Tarot, where they call it the Hanged One. Um, that the Hanged Man, there's something interesting about it. Can sometimes the images can be disturbing. Like I actually find this one to be slightly disturbing with the bizarrely twisted neck and stuff like this. Although I do like this deck, it's the Usi Pagan Otherworld deck. But in general, a lot of the Hanged Man cards, like this one, they look like the person got himself in that position. And so that is really an interesting thing. This can be a card that can show up with like this, woe is me, oh my God, look, I'm just hanging here, won't somebody help me? And it's sort of like, well, but you're the one who got yourself there. And if I help you, you probably won't learn what you need to learn. And so why don't you just try seeing your own situation in a totally different way, totally different perspective, maybe from someone else's perspective or from a place where you wish you were, and then you could look at your whatever it is, but just change it up. So that's generally the big messages from the Hanged Man card, is like, literally see if you can, whatever question that you've asked about, can you see it in a new way? Because you definitely want to interpret these cards based on what's around them, what you've asked, maybe a place in the spread that it's holding. So just contemplate that, bring that aspect to it. But like in this card that I showed a moment ago, it's also very interesting is what happens with hanging upside down is there's a lot more energy that goes to the heart center. There's even a little heart-shaped leaf in this one. And to there's different ways to interpret that. Some of that is to activate the heart center, so you can be very literal about that if that's an aspect that you see in your card, because you want to be reading what's in your card. You can also argue that, well, when you're hanging upside down, like in this card, your mind gets more activated because the blood is going there and you can actually see more clearly, so maybe even it's more like your third eye gets activated, or your seventh chakra can open up more, something like that. But there is an activation that's kind of happening in these upper chakras, so from the heart upwards, by doing an inversion. You can literally try to emulate this, maybe do headstand practice, handstand practice, or if you have a hanging device, you could hang upside down and see if that opens up anything for you. It's also just kind of fun just to try to emulate these cards, like see what happens when you cross your leg behind another leg, things like that. But don't do anything dangerous where you're going to hurt yourself, but just try to have fun and see what sort of energies get activated for you. Because it's one thing to look at this and be like, oh yeah, I can see how the mind gets more activated, let me activate my mind. And that can be a challenging thing to do, because we can start spinning, and that's not quite what it is. It's a little bit more meditative. But there's another message that I want to mention about the Hanged Man, which is something that I really like, and you just have to feel into it if it pops up for you with your cards or if it works with your spread. Is the Hanged Man is kind of like, you do your own thing. Yeah. Everyone's walking around the world on their feet and doing their things. They're moving along, and you're just hanging upside down. So this is sort of like permission for you to do you. You let your own freak flag fly. That is hard to say. So just like let it all out there, and kind of, instead of doing the woe is me, I'm a victim, I don't fit in, I don't belong, just being like, yes, I belong here. There should be somebody hanging. Yes, and other people can be walking around. We don't all have to be doing the same thing. Let's create a little bit more variety. So that's something that I actually love about the Hanged Man, is sort of going like, oh, how can I embrace more of my uniqueness, and just lean into that a little bit more. Another thing to consider with this card is this is the number 12. So it holds the 2 spot in the cycle of the shadow journey. And even numbers are generally very receptive. We can refer to them as feminine. It's more like where we open to receiving. It's that left hand path type thing. Um, and this card you can see in these positions, they're generally pretty meditative. The person isn't just going to like whip out of this and just start running or whatever, you know. So that's another thing, is how can you find a meditative space to receive the messages that you need to get about who you are, and who you want to be in the world as well, and how you can just be more uniquely you. That is an important thing to identify with this card and to really more embody in this card. Because if you remember, the following card after the Hanged Man is death, where you got to shed and let go and cut some ties to some old definitions, figure out those old things that just aren't serving you. And it's really a lot easier to do that if you know who you are, not who you've been, who you are, and maybe even a little bit of who you want to be. That's always a good thing, because then you can start making decisions about what you can do to help grow into that person and start embodying more of that. So that's my take on the Hanged Man, just as a standalone card on its own. If you would like to learn more about tarot reading, I have some classes coming up where it's much more about cultivating your intuition and how to connect the stories and interpret more of the symbols that come up in the cards, rather than feeling like you have to memorize specific things. I love geeking out. I think it's really fun to study the individual cards, piece together some sort of story, try to understand it more. That helped me a lot when I was learning tarot, of, just how can I grasp this and recall this. I would oftentimes pull cards and feel very put on the spot, even if it was just for me, not for someone else. And so that's why I wanted to record these videos, was to get some of that information out there too, because it can be fun to learn about them in different types of ways. But also sit with your deck and see what comes up in your readings. But I'd love to know if the stuff about the Hanged Man resonated with you, and how it's helping you in your readings, or see cards in a new way, or kind of uncover different facets of your, whether it's your intuition or a little piece in your mind that clicked for you, something like that. Let me know. And I will let you know when the classes are coming up. I'm co-teaching with Rachel Lazarus, and they should be getting released in spring 2020 is when we're starting. We have a few series going. So in the meantime, enjoy these videos that I'm putting up, and you can find more at tamingthetangle.com. Not more videos, but more content, because I share other tools for intentional and magical living over there. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon.